Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Children. I hope you're well and having a wonderful summer. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Professor Stephen Ray Wilson, who is at the Department of Chemistry at the University of Oslo. And the reason we're having a chat today is that we're going to be talking about organoids because Steve is actually presenting and also chairing a track at the WRD Plus 2025 event, which is now going to be in its third year and organized by WRC.community, which is all about organoids and organ on a chip. And so we're going to learn a bit more about that particular event. But before that, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm here in Oslo. Summer is soon gone, unfortunately, but that's life.
Well, we're in the last stretches of summer, I think, here in the UK, because it was gloriously sunny yesterday. Now, for people who are not familiar with your work, perhaps you could give us a quick background on what you actually do at the University of Oslo.
Sure. So I am a professor in analytical chemistry. So during my career, I've been working with all kinds of stuff, drug analysis, environmental analysis, art analysis, you name it. But in the last years, I've been focusing on organoids and organ-on-a-chip samples with my partners at the Center of Hybrid Technology. This is a center of excellence here in Oslo, which is a multidisciplinary effort to study organoids and organ-on-chips. So what I do is I like to measure stuff, and I like to measure stuff from organoids and organ-on-chip. It can be drug metabolism, omics, whatever. That's my thing.
Right, and let me ask you then, as given that that's the area that you're focusing on, what's so interesting about organoids and organs on a chip that made you want to move into that area and do more research in that area?
Well, I mean, it has so much great potential. It's really demanding, but there's a lot of room for pioneering, and it can help accelerate drug development, reduce animal experiments. But for me, as an analytical chemist, these are typically like maybe small but complex samples. So there's a lot of fun stuff to do in research for me on that.
Right, brilliant. Now, you actually attended this year's WRD Plus event, as did I, but I only went for a day, but you were there a much longer period than I. So, first of all, why did you attend it and how did you find it?
Yeah, so I was a part of the first event, which was held on online, kind of post Corona style. But it was such a great organization, led by Miles, and so I was very happy to join in person for the second event, and the event, which was near Cambridge. It was really personal, a lot of excellent top speakers, and also a lot of contact with industry and CROs and stuff like that. And it was very informal, very, very friendly, and I was really happy about that. So I'm very pleased to be able to be even more part of it also for next year.
Fantastic. Now, looking ahead to next year's event, although it's funny how time flies. I know we're thinking like it's February, but time will be suddenly upon us and we're coming to the end of the year and already planning about it. Uh, as I said, you are speaking at the event, but also chairing a track all on innovations in organ on a chip analysis and technologies and advances in organoid research. So, for viewers who are not familiar or maybe interested in that area, what sort of things will you be covering along that track, and what's your talk going to be covering?
Yeah, so sort of my focus area in organoids and organ on a chip is to be able to measure and identify and track compounds with these samples. This can be like I mentioned, drug metabolism. It can be also like metabolites, proteins, etc. And I want to be able to contribute with making very sensitive and robust and reliable analytical systems with a lot of focus on reproducibility and just making sure everything works so that organoid and organ-on-a-chip experts can get as much out of their samples also for the chemical analysis as possible. And that's sort of my mission in this, so to speak. And that's what I'll be talking about.
Fine. And as a layperson, though, I mean, in terms of, you mentioned analysis of the samples, what are some of the difficulties then to analyze those sort of samples in comparison to, say, other types of samples across drug discovery or drug development?
Absolutely. So a lot of samples that I work with previously, you might have, quite large amounts of samples. It might be like blood tubes. I work a lot with hospitals so that we do a lot of like clinical analysis and so forth. Or it can even be, I mean, if you're working with environmental analysis, you have entire oceans of samples literally to take from. But for organoids and organoid chip, these might be quite minute samples, might be very tiny samples. And another thing is that, with organoid chip samples, you want to be able to measure them right there and then. You want to be able to look at what's going on right there in the moment. Because that's one of the key features of organoid chip is that it's sort of like a miniaturization of life, so to speak. And that's why you don't want to use instruments that are meant for huge samples. You need to have with really small samples. So that's a key challenge, is the size and the requirements for and the dream of high throughput in this field.
Right. And in terms of, I mean, because I do work across lots of sectors in this space and I go to lots of events as well, I see lots of instrumentation. So when you talk about the sort of instruments or technologies that you might use to help in the analysis,
Yeah,
what sort of instrument or technology would you use? I mean,
sure.
would it be mass spec? Would it be
Yeah,
NMRA?
yeah.
What would be the sort of thing that you'd be using?
So I work a lot with mass spectrometry, and I also work with separation science like chromatography. And a lot of people will without knowing it, their lives and interests are actually quite dependent on these instruments. So just like in the Olympics now, under a lot of the stadiums, there's like loads of mass specs that are testing people's if there have been doping or not. But the thing is that like a mass spectrometer it's quite big. It can be like the size of a refrigerator.
Sure.
So if you want to, and it's really hard to put a mass spectrometer in the lab hood with a bunch of organoid chip systems because it's just so big. It's like literally an elephant in the room. Well, not literally, figuratively, meaning. So what we need to do is we need to be able to miniaturize these systems, making smaller detection systems, maybe even smaller mass specs and smaller analytical devices so it can fit with the miniaturized nature of organoid chip. But we'll still use a lot of the same stuff that's being used in forensics or diagnostics or stuff, but we need to make it more automated and make it more miniaturized.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So there you go, viewers. If you'd like to learn more, though, about Word Plus 2025, then please check out the website. The link is above the video. The event's actually on the 11th to the 13th of February. So you've got a bit of time yet to register. And it's going to be, as Steve said, near Cambridge in Hixton. So check that out. Also, though, look out for a brand new podcast all about organoids, which is going to be hosted by little old me, but Steve is actually going to be one of the regular guests, along with Professor Mariana Kruthoff de Julio, hopefully I haven't butchered her surname, from the University of Bern, where we're going to be talking more in depth about organoids and various areas around topics around organoids on a monthly basis, hopefully. So please look out for that podcast. And if you see it, then download it, subscribe, and listen to it. So, Stephen, it's been lovely to meet you. I hope you don't lose any sunshine for the rest of this month and have a bit of sunshine still for the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look forward to catching up with you on the podcast as well. So viewers, I hope you found that interesting. If you'd like to learn more about Steve's work, then obviously you can connect with him on LinkedIn as well. And if you've got any questions based on what he's doing around analysis on organoids, feel free to put them in the comments below this video. I'm sure Steve will be very delighted to see what your feedback is in terms of how you analyze organoids, what your thoughts are on that. But as I say, look out for more about organoids in a podcast, but also, as I said, check out the website link above, not just about the event, but about the WORC community, which has got loads of information on organoids and the various speakers that they've had at previous events, the talks they've had, and also the upcoming event as well. So, Stephen, once again, thank you for your time. Enjoy your week. And viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.